presented by the President yesterday. Come on in, Congressman Claudia Tenney, frequent guest on the program, and, wait for it, a Republican from New York State. So I have to ask, what about, you know what's coming now, don't you? You know what's coming.
I'm ready.
It is the elimination of the deduction for state and local taxes. That would really hurt any reasonably wealthy person in New York State. And you don't want it, do you?
I don't love it, but there is a couple of other things that are happening. We are doubling the standard deduction, which would actually wipe out some of the negative parts about reducing the so-called state and local deduction, the SALT, as we call it, state and local tax deduction. So yeah, I'm leaning yes on this because I think if we can double the standard deduction, which would actually help the lower income tax brackets, the people that are the itemizer. We figured out there's about 62,000 people in my district that are actually called tax units. Those are people who are itemizing. That would significantly go down if we double the standard deduction, which is a good part of this. There are other really good parts about this tax reform that we desperately need. And as you know, I promised you that we would get tax reform done, and I'm going to try to deliver on that promise so I don't stay up at night worrying about Stuart Varney.
No. Stop it. But you'd say, okay, to this SALT thing, state and local tax. You would say okay, so long as it's balanced by other stuff elsewhere in the package, which would balance it out. You're okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
So you're okay with this general outline of the package as it was delivered yesterday?
Yes, I am. And I went to tax camp, so we got to see a lot more of the details on it. And overall, I think it's going to be really helpful because we're going to see the tax rates come down. We're going to see especially the corporate tax rate drop to 20%, which is going to be really good for our manufacturers. And you're also going to see the repatriation, the money being incentivized to come back from foreign nations to the United States for reinvestment. That's going to be a really good part of it. It's going to be a lot simpler. Yes, we are eliminating the so-called SALT and some other deductions that make our tax system more complicated, but I think it's going to be a simpler, fairer tax plan that's going to be reduction. It's not, it's not perfect. As I said, the SALT is an issue for me, the state and local tax deduction. But I think the so-called doubling of the standard deduction, giving people more money back, I think is going to help, and that's going to actually reduce or minimize the negative effects of SALT. I'm a person from New York who pays very high taxes on my state and local share, so that's why it affects us.
Okay. Now, we had news about an hour ago. Diane Black chairs the Budget Committee. She says, what was it? That you've got the Republican votes
the Republican
needed.
votes to get the budget resolution passed.
Budget resolution passed.
Yep.
1 week from today.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, Claudia, that's very good news. That's a step forward, isn't it?
Yes, if we get the budget passed next week, we get tax reform done by the end of the year. Thank you to Stuart Varney for pressing these issues. I think it's going to be those are really big wins for the Republican side. I'm very excited about it. I know, it's like, do we need to have to, we just go to Stuart Varney and we have to get things approved, right?
You're killing me. You're killing me. Claudia, thank you very much indeed for taking time out.
Thank you so much.
Busy day. Appreciate it.